Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I want to demonstrate to you from the Quran that the Quranic New Year starts at the beginning of the spring, what we call Rabi al-Awwal. It means first month of spring is the first month of the year. Some brothers ask me a question, how do we know that from the Quran? So I'm going to demonstrate that to you. As I have told you before, Quran is extremely detailed. Everything that you need to know is there. Now, if you cannot understand it, if we cannot understand it, that's a different story. But initially, everything is in there, but people abandoned it and followed their own whims and desires. So without further ado, let's look at verse number 36 of chapter 9 in the Quran. I have gone through this verse several times, so it's just a quick review. So it says, indeed, the number of months with Allah is 12 months. So we have 12 months in the year, not one day month less, not 1 month more, not 11, not 13. How many? 12. So this is really important. That's a foundation. Only 12 months. Out of these 12 months, 4 are forbidden. So 4 of these 12 months are forbidden. So what do we mean by forbidden months? These are the months within which you cannot wage war. It's ceasefire. It's truce. There's no wars. There's no fighting in these 4 months. So keep that in mind. 12 months, out of them, 4 of them are forbidden / haram months. It means that there's no wars, ceasefire, peace for everyone. Now let's look at verse number 1 and 2 of chapter 9. This is a very important chapter of the Quran. It's a difficult chapter to read and understand, but it's very important. It has some really good information in it. So this association from Allah and His Messenger to those with whom you had made a treaty amongst the associators or mushrikeen. So it says basically this association, you have nothing to do with them anymore. It's complete separation. Then Allah issues a warning. So travel freely throughout the land. Sihu fil ardi arba'at ashhur. Travel freely, or basically roam freely, spread around, do whatever you want to do throughout the land for 4 months. So we just studied that 4 months, right? So this proclamation, this announcement happened at the beginning of the 4 months, or the day before the 4 months begin. So basically, Allah says, make an announcement that for the next 4 months, you are free to do whatever you want in the land in peace. So these 4 months are the 4 forbidden months. But know that you cannot cause failure to Allah, and that Allah will disgrace the disbelievers. By disbelievers, talking about who? It's talking about the associators or mushrikeen. So associators or mushrikeen were given 4 consecutive months of peace before war started. So these are the 4 haram months that we talked about. You cannot have any sort of war or fighting in these 4 months. Pilgrimage or Hajj, or as the Bible calls it, Hajj, happens during these 4 months. So that's why it's forbidden. So people have to be safe across the land in these 4 months. And Allah is teaching the believers a lesson that even though the associators are attacking you, even though the associators are inflicting harm and casualties amongst you, you have no right to attack them in the next 4 months. Why? Because the next 4 consecutive months Remember, they're consecutive, one after another. The next 4 consecutive months are forbidden. They are haram. And this is the next verse, verse number 3 of chapter 9. So I'm not going to go through the Arabic. We're going to go to the translation. And an announcement from Allah and His Messenger to mankind on the day of the greater/bigger pilgrimage, Yawm al-Hajj al-Akbar, that Allah is disassociated from the associators, from the mushrikeen, and so is His Messenger. So if you repent, it's a warning. They have 4 months. So Allah is giving them 4 months. It says, if you repent, that is best for you in these 4 months. But if you turn away, then know that you will not cause failure to Allah, and give tidings to those who disbelieve of a painful punishment. So again, once again, it tells us that this announcement happened at the first day of Hajj, which they used to call the day of the greater or bigger pilgrimage. Why? Because you remember, you have 2 kinds of Hajj. One is Umrah, the other one is the actual Hajj. So Umrah is the smaller Hajj, but actual Hajj, the one that is the actual Hajj, the pilgrimage, is basically happens during those 4 months. And that is the one that is mandatory once in your lifetime for everyone. I showed you verses that even prophets Moses and Harun and the Israelites did that Hajj as well. It was mandatory, and Moses took them to perform Hajj in the true Masjid al-Haram, in the original Masjid al-Haram. So the question is, but what happens after these 4 months are forbidden? We just saw a huge announcement. So let's read verse number 5 of chapter 9. It says, and when the 4 forbidden months, when the haram months have passed, when they have finished, فَإِذَا انْسَلَخَ, it means when they finish, it's like completely you're out of it, then fight the associators wherever you find them. So basically Allah is giving the mushrikeen, the associators who have been fighting with the believers, have been killing them 4 months. So Allah could have said, okay, these people are really bad, just go attack them right now. But Allah is teaching us a lesson. Allah is teaching the true believers, those who truly follow the Quran, a lesson here. What is that lesson? That even though your enemy is attacking you, even though you're under attack, still, as soon as you get to the forbidden/haram months, you need to stop. Give them that time. These are forbidden months. This is truce. This is ceasefire. So again, but right after these forbidden months, what is going to happen? The war is going to happen. The war is going to start, and the believers are given permission to attack their enemies. In this case, the associators or the mushrikeen. And remember, the mushrikeen will always be, even in future, they will be the biggest enemy of the true believers. Always. So a quick summary. The mushrikeen, the enemies of the true believers, are given 4 months to be free on earth, to do whatever they want to do. They can go to the sacred mosque. They can go anywhere they want to go, completely at peace, no war. After those 4 months, war is going to start, right? And that means that they cannot commingle. They cannot be around the believers after those 4 months. So that should be clear for you from these verses, right? Okay, this is verse number 28 of chapter 9. It says, O you who have believed, indeed the associators or the mushrikeen are unclean. They are filthy. It says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, innamal mushrikuna najas. Basically, those who associate with Allah, they are filthy. They are unclean. Not that they are physically filthy. They're ideologically filthy because they come to you and they say, oh yeah, we believe in the Quran. But you know what? Beside the Quran, we follow the such and such hadith or this. So there's complete filth in it, and they cause a lot of people to go astray from the true way of the Lord. When you see an idol worshiper, you don't have those problems. But these people, these mushrikeen, these associators are filthy, are unclean. And that's what there's such like ideologically, they cause a lot of people to err, to make mistake, to deviate. They cause a lot of deviation because they claim to believe in the Quran, but in practice, in action, they do not follow the Quran. They have nothing to do with the Quran. It's a claim that they make, but they never follow the Quran. And then right after that it says, so they must not approach the sacred mosque, Al-Masjid al-Haram, after this year of theirs. So we just went over that okay, this is 4 months have passed. After that there's going to be war, and right after that Allah is telling us that after these 4 months are over, after this year is over, they should not be approaching the sacred mosque. So that tells you that the 4 forbidden months, the 4 haram months, are at the end of the year, right at the end of the year. So I have shared this video before. Again, you see, these are the 4 forbidden months at the end of the year. And in this verse, in the verse that I just showed to you, it says after this year, the mushrikeen, the associators, are not allowed to even come close to فَلَا يَغْرَبُوا. They are not allowed. It's a royal command. They are not allowed to approach Al-Masjid al-Haram. So they have 4 months to roam freely on earth, do whatever they want in these 4 months, because these are safe months. They can approach the sacred mosque. They can come over there. After this 4 months is over, there is war. They are not allowed to come close to the sacred mosque, because Allah commands the believers that if you find them, it's war. You are in a state of war with them after these 4 months. So obviously, if you are in a state of war with a group of people, it means they cannot approach your holiest place that you have, right? You are not going to allow them to approach your city, and that's why this verse tells them that after these 4 months, after this year, they cannot approach the sacred mosque. And Allah exactly uses the word after this year. So after this year, basically, so year ends. So that tells you that the year ends with this 4 months. Hopefully this is clear. You have to think a little bit about it. It's just very obvious to me, but you have to think about it, read about it. It's very clear. So after these 4 months, so the year is ending with these 4 haram months. And what is the next month after that? Is Rabiul Awwal, or the first month of the spring. So that would be your first month. But I want to teach you something extra. Very quickly. When Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was attacking Mecca to destroy it, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who was ruling Mecca at that time, would not allow the army of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan and Yusuf ibn Hajjaj to perform Hajj, to even enter to that area. So this was the reason. I just want you to know why. Because Abdullah ibn Zubayr knew that these people were mushrikeen. Back then in early Islam, they knew that these people are no longer believers. The Umayyads were mushrikeen. They follow hadith. They don't follow the Quran. They invented their own religion. The way they say salah, the way they perform salah, the way they fast is completely different. They claim with their mouth that they believe in Allah and they follow the Quran, but nothing could be further from the truth. They worship Akbar, the devil and they follow the religion of the devil. These are technically devil worshippers, simply said, devil worshippers. And Ibn Zubayr knew that. That's why whenever Yusuf ibn Hajjaj or any of the Umayyad or those who followed the religion of the Umayyad, they wanted to perform Hajj, Ibn Zubayr would not allow them to. Why? Because of this verse. Indeed, the mushrikeen or the associators are unclean or filthy, so they must not approach Al-Masjid al-Haram or the sacred mosque, which is located in Petra, Jordan, after this year. So every believer is supposed to follow this, and this is exactly why Ibn Zubayr would not allow them to approach the sacred mosque in Petra, Jordan. I just want you to know this has nothing to do with this topic, but this is the reason. And also this is the reason why Allah allowed them to destroy it and abandon the city, because this is a royal decree from Allah. So this has to happen. And because the city was completely abandoned, what happened? The associators, the mushrikeen, could not approach it at all for thousands of years, okay? But as I have told you, important things, Allah usually gives you two witnesses. This is our second witness that Allah gives us, verse number 27 of chapter 28. It says, indeed, and I have read this verse for you before, it says, indeed, I wish to wed you, this is Shu'aib or Jethro, so I wish to wed you one of these, my two daughters, on the condition that you serve me for, again, this is not serve, this you work for me. This is ta'ajurani is when you hire someone and you pay them. Has nothing to do with serving someone. That you work for me as a paid employee for 8 pilgrimage, 8 seasons of Hajj, and if you do 10, that will be a favor from you. You see, Shu'aib is using pilgrimage as a sign, a season of pilgrimage or season of Hajj, as an indication of year ending. Again, that tells you, that verifies, that confirms that seasons of Hajj, 4 months of Hajj, which are the 4 forbidden months, are at the end of the year. It makes it very clear, okay? So you can read what I have written here. I don't want to go over it. This is the second witness. Allah gives us 2 witnesses for all important things. But it's not only in the Quran. Bible tells us the exact same thing. Now there's so many verses. I don't want to go to the to details in Bible, but there's a verse in book of Samuel, 2 Samuel 11:1. It says, in the spring, at the time when the kings go off to war. This verse is indicating that all wars in that region used to cease at the time of David. They used to cease before each spring, and then they would resume in the spring. And these are the last 4 forbidden months. So again, even Bible tells us that spring was the time when the wars would resume. Just like the Quran told us, after that 4 months, go to war against the mushrikeen, against the associators, against the enemies of Allah and His Prophet. After those, and all His messengers, technically, after those 4 months. So, which is when? Spring. You see, Bible, again, is confirming it. In the spring, the season of spring, that starts in Rabiul Awwal, first month. Rabiul Awwal means first month of the spring in Arabic. That means first month of the spring. At that time when kings go off to war. So, it's amazing that these are the same religion. These are the forgotten traditions of the prophets. But who caused these traditions to be forgotten? Who caused these traditions to? These traditions were happening even up until the time of Prophet Muhammad, up until after him. It was the Umayyad, it was the associators, the Islamic sects. They destroyed these traditions. They destroyed everything. That's why these are the enemies of Allah and His Messenger. They follow the religion of the devil. And that's what you see. They destroyed the true Petra, the true Masjid al-Haram, the true Mecca. They destroyed it. They destroyed the calendar. They changed the calendar. They changed this ancient, beautiful tradition of ceasefire and truce that existed in that region for thousands of years. And these sons of the devil, these sons of Lucifer, sons of Iblis, they changed it. And look, as of today, they're always either they're fighting themselves, killing themselves, or they're fighting and killing other people. It's the exact same. They never take a break. Never. Even during their version of Ramadan. That's completely different than the true Ramadan. Even during their version of Ramadan, they still continue fighting and killing each other. There's no peace in them. It's because it's not them. It's their religion. It's the religion of warmongering. So the religion of Islamic sects, Sunnism, Shiism, all of them is the same. But Quran also gives us other hints. Again, if you look at verse number 33 of chapter 36, and a sign for them is the dead earth. We have brought it to light and brought forth from it grain and from it. So Allah is telling us that earth dies, it's cycle. There's a cycle that earth dies and then comes back to life. And we all know that that happens during the spring. The earth dies after summer, in fall gradually, in winter comes back to life. So if the earth is dying, you would assume that the natural calendar of Allah, who created the heavens and the earth, again dies with the earth and comes back. Otherwise, without the earth, you cannot have a calendar, right? So that's completely natural and easy to understand that. And then again, verse number 24 of chapter 30, and of his sign is that he shows you the lightning, and he sends down rain from the sky, by which he brings to life the earth after its death. So again, it's telling you that earth dies and comes back to life. So if earth dies in winter and the winter comes back to life in the beginning of spring, it just makes sense. It's natural. The calendar is a creation of Allah, and it works with Allah's creation. Verse number 50 of chapter 30. So observe the effects of the mercy of Allah, our Creator, how He brings the earth back to life after its death. So again, the same thing. So as you can see, there are three very clear evidences of how Quran tells us that the calendar ends with 4 forbidden months at the time when earth dies, and the calendar restarts or starts again. It's a new day. That's why in Farsi they call it Nowruz. It means a new day. It's a new year, basically. New year starts when the earth comes back to life at the beginning of spring, and the 4 months of Hajj, or 4 forbidden months, are finished. So I hope you learned from it. And again, if you follow the Quran, you don't go wrong. Everything you need to know is in the Quran. Now, there are things we might not understand correctly, but everything we need to know is in this book. And it's in the Bible too. I showed to you. They support each other. There are a lot more verses in the Bible. I didn't put it in there for the sake of time. But they support each other. That the first month of the year is the first month of spring. And it's just beautiful. You just have to read it. You have to think. You have to meditate on it, and you will never go wrong. But as I told you, it's just it's the associators. Unfortunately, they abandoned the Quran. They created their own religion, their own satanic religion. They do not observe any of this. They change the calendar. They have their own messed up calendar that nobody can even use because it doesn't make any sense. And then the forbidden months, they do not observe because they love killing and bloodshed, and that's Satan. The way of Satan, because they want to kill and they want to shed blood as much as they can. That's why they never observe any of these. It's in their Quran, but if you tell them, they don't even know what it is. What religion are you following? You don't even understand the forbidden months. Their Hajj is rotating. Their fasting is complete nonsense fasting, not eating and drinking and then engorging yourself in the evenings. It's everything they do is satanic. It's a religion of Iblis. It's the religion of Iblis. Okay, peace and blessings to all of you.